Hello and welcome back, you strong, beautiful tadpoles. In this week's video, I'm showing you how I made my Halloween costume this year. I know it's been a while, but sometimes you get sick, you get busy, life happens. My vision for this year was Moth Queen. I would be not a moth itself, I would be the queen of moths. And I think I came up with it because I saw some cute little fabric moths that someone made on Pinterest and I wanted to make them too. So I decided to be the queen of the little fabric moths. And in my mind, this moth queen lives in a little cave where the moths all go to hide, and she's just there and the moths are all over her, and that's how I envisioned this. And I actually made all of these moths from old scraps of fabric that I found. Like some of it is like old pillowcases and things my mom used like in the 80s or something. So yeah, I just tried to find the right colors to make many different moths, and this is how I made it. I hope you enjoy. Alrighty, beginning with the stays, I had this thrifted fabric. This was actually a bedsheet, and it had this lovely texture with like these flowers and these like wood textures. I don't know. This is the pattern that I used. I actually modified it so that it would be round in the front and the back was significantly lower. And I cut these out twice. And so I had basically an inside and an outside of the stays. I sewed all of those sides together. I made sure to press the seams open. And then I didn't forget to add interfacing, so I added those where the eyelets would go, and also at the shoulder straps where the eyelets also would go. After that, I placed them together right sides and only sewed the center front bit together. And then I flipped it right side out again and made sure to iron it well. And after that, I basting stitched all the way around the entire neckline. And then I added a bias tape to the neckline to finish it. This wasn't very easy because of like the curve of the strap, but it was a first time and I think I came out pretty good. I actually stitched the bias tape only to the front and I folded it over and hand stitched it on the inside to give a super clean look. And this is what the hand stitching looks like from the inside. After that, I marked and measured the channels for my boning. I'm using this Rigeline boning here, which you can also iron to make it a little bit more flat. And I made sure to melt the ends. This is what it looks like after with all of my boning channels. You can also see a center seam down the middle. That is because it was too big and I had to make it smaller, and that was the only place I could. And I also finished the bottom edge the same way I did the top edge. And this is what they look like, all laced up. Not my best work, but it'll do. Now on to basically the undergarments, I guess. I had this big piece of fabric that I was just cutting out some rectangles and basically making the same top as I did in the video where I made the yellow dress. I will link that for you. And I did explain it way better there. I basically just made a very big top and then added elastics on the shoulder neckline and then under the bust, so it would look nice underneath my stays. And for the sleeves, I wanted some really like billowy long hanging sleeves, so I made this pattern. This was not big enough, so I tried to make it bigger. This was my second pattern, and it looked pretty good in the paper, but when I cut it out in the fabric, it was not flowy enough. So I cut that piece down the center. I was trying to save fabric, and I opened that and I added this triangle piece right there. And so in the end, the sleeve would be like huge or just very flowy and exactly what I wanted it to be. So after sewing that and also hemming the outside of the sleeve, I pinned it inside the sleeve that was already on the top, and I made sure to overlap at the top where exactly right there. And this is what it looked like. I think it came out pretty good and perfectly flowing, as you will see later. I also made a skirt. This is just a rectangle with a piece of elastic at the top and a little slit that I just left where it would connect. And now to the moths. I had this pattern that I found somewhere and I just made it smaller to have my size. I always had these 3 pieces. These 3 are making this kind of moth, and these are a different kind of moth that is a little bit more rounded, I don't know, just different. And then I had another one, which was this one, which was kind of like just closed wings, and it would come together like so, and the moth is gonna look like this. So I always cut out 2 pieces of each, and I made sure to put interfacing on every piece except for the body, not on the body. I did not put interfacing on the body. And I started sewing the body, making sure to leave an opening so I can turn it inside out and stuff it. Then for the wings, I just put them left sides together and did a zigzag stitch all the way around, just like that. And then I did the same thing for the lower wings, I guess, the under wings. I also did a little bit of top stitching to like do the veins. I don't know what they're called but in leaves it's veins. So I would just do it like this, and I'm just showing you on this piece because you can see it better. And I also did that on every wing. Sometimes I would use a contrasting color and sometimes I would use more of a matching color. I actually always drew on the lines first because otherwise I would just make a mess. And now for the assembly of the moth. I had this foam piece to help me hold everything down. And firstly I would decide which way is up, just like that. Yep. And then I'm pinning them down, making sure I have them in the right spot. I check the distance between the head and the wings, and then also that there's a little bit of a butt visible. And I take a pretty long piece of thread and I make a knot just like that. And I start sewing somewhere where the knot is hidden, just like there. And I go around the edge, just like so, over the zigzag stitch. It's not going to be visible because the zigzag stitch is right there. And I just go around and make sure to secure the inside of the wing. I guess that's what that would be called. And so the outside of the wing can, flap freely. When I reach the bottom, I flip it around and I go up the other wing, making sure both wings are sewn in the same place. Then I just leave the thread on the needle and I add my upper wings. I pin those down and I actually make sure to get the thread to the outside, and then I will be sewing along this inside curve and then also along the outside curve where the head or the face would be. And at the very end, I'm gonna make sure to poke out the center of the face or the head, whatever you want to call it, because that's where the antenna is gonna go. And I'm gonna show you how I made that right now. I had this piece of easily fraying linen fabric and I grabbed it and I sewed a zigzag stitch right down the middle. And then I also cut it in this shape, as you can see. And after that, I'm just gonna rip out all these vertical threads, making sure none of them are still in there. And you can see it's gonna have this fluffy antenna effect. I think this is very moth-like. This is what kind of makes it look like a moth and not a butterfly in my eyes. So I did that for all of them. And I also trim it to make it look cute and nice and symmetrical. That's what it looked like. And after that, I grab it, I mark the center, and I grab my needle and I poke right through there. And I push it all the way down and I secure it with a couple of stitches. And then I tie the thread in a place where it's not visible, and that's my little moth. I did that like 13, 14 times. And these are all the moths that I had. I made some other ones for a crown, which I'm going to show you later. Oh no, I'm going to show you right now. The crown, I just grabbed this, what is that, a headband, and I wrapped it in some more white ribbon because they didn't have a white headband. That's okay. And that's what this looked like. I think that's pretty good. And I added some moths. I actually made some moths without a body for this part. So the moths on the side don't have a body. And the moth that is in the middle actually does have a little bit of a body. So that's what that looked like. And I added the moths to the corset by just putting it on and pinning them where I thought they would look cute and, you know, significant. So I put one on my shoulder, very cute. And I actually had two that I did not sew onto my corset, which I will show you what I did just in a second. And I actually just sewed all of these moths on with like 2 stitches, so if I want to, I can remove them or use them for something else, or wear the stays on its own. Yeah, that's what that looked like. And the remaining moths that I had, I added just a safety pin to 2 of those. And then I added a ring to this big one, so I could like hold it on my finger and like pose with it, so it looks like the moth landed on my hand or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's all I did, I guess. I wish I could have done more of a photo shoot, but this is all I got for you here. I love the sleeves, they're very flowy. And as you can see, I added the remaining moths onto my skirt, which worked very well. And they're just sitting on my skirt. Here is also the crown, as this is the Moth Queen. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, follow my Instagram, and I'll see you later. Bye!